guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk to you about how I transitioned into a full-time blogger slash how I managed working full-time and doing blogging. So if you're new here to this channel, hello, my name is Nicole. I'm a Canadian that is now living in the UK, and when I got here, I got a job and I have just transitioned into doing blogging full-time. Now, when I say blogging, it doesn't necessarily have to be just doing stuff on your blog, but I mean things like through Instagram, social media, YouTube, things like that. So when I refer to blogging full-time, that's kind of what I'm referring to. Anyways, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're either just interested in kind of that influencer lifestyle or you're an influencer yourself. So I thought I would come on here and share my journey with you guys because some of you have been interested to know, I guess. So anyways, if you want to hear more about it, then just keep on watching. Alrighty, so let's get into things. As I've already mentioned, I'm a Canadian, I'm living here in the UK. I actually got a job literally within days of me moving over here because I didn't know what the market was like. I didn't know what living was gonna be like. You always hear that the UK is so expensive and I was just honestly terrified. So I did get a job, literally, I had the interview, I got called for the interview the day after I got here. I went in a couple of days later for the interview and I started the very next day. So, I didn't realize that blogging, I feel like blogging is just a lot easier to get by and do successfully here in England because there's influencer apps. I feel like the culture within businesses, a lot of like small businesses either have social media managers or they work with PR firms, things like that. So I feel like I've actually been able to go full time a lot faster than I ever would have been able to do back in Canada. So I do want to say this because if you are a North American influencer, it might not have been as easy for you to transition to full-time as it was for me here. I remember seeing tons of bloggers when I was still in Canada that are here in like London and stuff, and they went full-time in a year, and I was like, how is that possible? So I do want to put that disclaimer out there. So I got here May 1st, and then around middle of June is when I first started hearing about influencer apps. Actually, that's a lie. I had first started hearing about influencer apps when I was back in Canada, and I had applied to one and they didn't accept me to the program. Anyways, it was in July that I reapplied to this app, they accepted me, and I started getting some paid campaigns. I unfortunately wasn't able to complete them just because of issues like with my house in Canada and my dog and stuff. But then I had found another app, and that one has been the one that has been the most successful for me because basically you buy the product and then you go and you shoot the like images or the content for the campaign, and then you submit it, and then you negotiate a price, and then you get paid. So I had my first campaign through that back at the end of July, at the end of June actually, and it's basically been consistent and steady growth from there. So basically I would be working at my full-time job. I worked there 4 days a week, and but it was still full-time hours. It was 37 and a half hours over 4 days as opposed to 5. And basically I would see on the app what campaigns were out there. I would go pick up the item for the campaign on my lunch break. I would then either come home and shoot it, or I would like shoot it before I went to work the next day. And that's what my life was looking like for the last 6 months, I would say. It was quite hectic, it was draining me, but I ended up making more than my full-time wage since about August of this year. So it only took me about 2 months to get to that point where I was making the same amount that I was making at my full-time job. So I've recently left that just because, you know what, it wasn't a place that was for me. I felt like there was, I mean, like with every workplace, there's always politics. But there came a point where it was like this grievance and this stress is not worth this amount of money, and especially when I was making more elsewhere. So I would feel like saying like this transition, I feel like it's one of those things you've got to just rip the band-aid off and get into it. But it definitely, I don't feel like was the exact moment that I should have done it, but now being in it, there's been a lot of good that has come out of it, and I feel like I've been able to expand a lot more and do more campaigns just because I have the time to do so. So, when I talk about work-life balance, what I really wanted to share with you guys, if you are an influencer and you're looking to kind of do it full time, I just kind of wanted to explain to you a little bit of what my life looked like on a day-to-day. So as I said, I would see what was out there campaign-wise. From there, I would probably honestly, a lot of my brainstorming would happen as I would be doing mindless tasks at work or if I was cleaning. So say I saw a campaign for toothpaste. I would see that campaign and I'm like, okay, I use toothpaste. Okay, would this fit into my niche? I feel like I do more lifestyle, so I feel like maybe that's a little bit broader than maybe just fashion bloggers. And then I would sit there and I would start brainstorming, where in this room could I make that content that would look authentic and organic and not too forced? Or I would think, how could I start laying that flat lay? What would I put in that flat lay? So as I was doing mindless tasks, either around the house or when I was at work, doing data entry, things like that, I was always constantly thinking of how I was gonna come home and shoot that content. And that, I think, really, really helped me maximize my time, because literally sometimes I would literally even draw out a flat lay. So I kind of had an idea of how I was gonna execute it, or I would draw out, a quick character board of if I was taking a picture with Paul or something, to really narrow down how I was going to shoot that piece of content. And I feel that was one of those things that helped me be super successful, because I had that planning and that organization, and that helped me be efficient and then get the campaigns. I also feel when you put a little bit of thought into it before you pick up the product and before you go to shoot it, it really helps you execute something that is exactly what the brand is wanting, that is super concise, and then has helped me get more approvals than disapprovals. Does that make sense? The other thing that I would say has really helped me into this transitioning full time is that when I take a picture for a brand, I don't just offer one picture. I offer between 4 and 5 pictures. And then I think that has helped me be even more successful, because sometimes you don't know what the brand is really looking for. They might want a flat lay. They might want a product in use shot. They might want a close-up shot. They might want something super obscure and you can barely see the branding. I don't really understand when they pick those ones, but you don't really know what they're looking for. So I feel like if you can give them way more, you'll be successful with it. Okay, so the next thing that I would say that has really helped me in being successful, well, not that I'm really that successful, but into transitioning full time, is making sure I have more content than not enough content. So for example, I shoot with a photographer once a month. I get those images with my photographer and I almost use that as the backup for when I don't have things to post. So if I don't have a campaign to post, if I don't have a picture that I've taken with Paul, those pictures with my photographer can be used as those filler pictures to make sure I have nice content going up all the time. I think I've already shown a video here on this channel where I show you how I put my outfits together and how I make that super efficient. And then those pictures are kind of plugged in between all of my campaigns. So that helps me have content going up all the time that is really nice, that I've worked with somebody else on. Because sometimes I find it takes you a little bit longer to get content for yourself, if you're trying to do everything yourself, and it might be more efficient to just book an hour or two with a photographer a month. If you're in Bristol, there are tons of photographers around here that have pretty affordable rates as well. So I do feel that working with a photographer has been something that has really elevated my content for a very reasonable fee, and help me have backup for when I don't have things to post or if I don't have campaigns to post. Okay, so the next thing that I would say that has really helped me transition into a full-time blogger is knowing what I'm going to post before I post it. So for me, as I said just in the last point, I make sure I have a backup of pictures, so I always kind of have a stock of what I can be posting, so I'm never really rushing to shoot something. But also knowing when I'm gonna post, what kind of caption I'm gonna post it with, what kind of hashtags I'm gonna use, maybe what advertising I'm gonna use on the post, things like that. So I feel like if you're prepared for that and you know where you're heading, it's really useful to help you define what you're gonna post and when you're gonna post it. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna say that has really helped me into going in full time is really knowing what serves me and what doesn't serve me. I have no problem saying no to things. I probably say no to too much, but if I can see that this isn't going to help me right now and there's something else that I need to do that is going to further me along in my business, I have no problem saying no. So sometimes you guys, especially if you're Bristol based, you may have seen me not come to an event. You may have seen I've left early. I may have had to cancel like coming to an event or something, and it's no harsh feelings, but sometimes I think that in order to be successful, you really have to figure out what you are gonna say no to, because the more you say yes to things, it might make you say no to something else that is going to help further your business along. So for example, yesterday I was supposed to meet up with a girlfriend, and I did meet up with her, but I ended up being a little bit late because a brand had sent something over and I had to shoot it super fast, and that was an income producing activity. So I did that activity first before going and doing the recreational activity, because that is going to be what helps further me along. I'm full of quotes. If you know me in my like everyday real life, I have a quote for absolutely everything. But if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So for me, I try to have my days planned out as much as I can, my content planned out as much as I can, so I don't end up failing. And I try to have dinner, like dinner is already cooked and it is 12 o'clock. My cameras are always charged, things like that, because you never know when something's gonna pop up and you don't wanna be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. I had someone ask me recently, like, how do I stay so organized? Like, I have a full-time job and I'm doing blogging full-time. Like, basically I was making a full-time income with blogging, but doing it part-time. And she was like, you must be like so meticulous. And I honestly don't think that I am. I think I just know where I'm headed with my career, and that helps me define what I say yes to and what I say no to. And little things I do think that I am meticulous with that helps me drop things and like execute them really fast. Does that make sense? I really hope that it does. I feel like this video may be a little bit rambly, but I thought I would just come on here, speak to the camera, nothing flashy, not talking about products or anything like that, but just talking to you kind of face to face and having a little bit of real talk, really, because I've even had some family members ask like, so are you working your job from home or are you doing this full time? So I'm doing this full time, and I thought I would just come on and explain a little bit of how I'm able to do that, why I'm able to do that, how I came to this decision, and so forth. So I think it comes down to a little bit of management, a little bit of planning better, a little bit of really knowing your niche, knowing what you should say yes to, what you should say no to. And yeah, I think also being in Europe and the UK, it's a lot easier to do this full time, coming from someone who tried to do it for years in another country. Anyways, guys, this was a rambly one. I hope you grabbed a cup of tea or coffee or a snack, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos like this from me, let me know. Hit that like button, send me an email. That description stuff is always down there in the description box down below, or leave a comment on here. You can totally do that too. I can do videos that go into the apps that I use, but truthfully, I feel like unless you're just in England, not all of these apps might not be useful for you. I know that's what I found when I was watching videos like this. I was like, okay, this is great that you're giving this information, but it's not useful for me because it's not in my region. But if you are wanting to see more videos like this, let me know and then I'll create them for you. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, I've got videos coming to you between like Christmas time, every day up until Christmas time. I don't know when I'm gonna release this video, so that's why I'm being big on this, because it could be the first video of December, it could be the last video of Christmas. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.